As I believe I've mentioned on this podcast before, when I was 18, I met a girl back in Providence, fell in love with her, but she moved to Seattle. And this really floored me. She was going to school out there in Seattle. I went to school on Long Island my freshman year, but I thought about her all the time. I wrote to her, couldn't stop thinking about her. And I went out to visit her over Christmas break in Evergreen State College under the guise, theoretically, of going to school there. But after the visit, I came home and I got a letter from her saying, "Look, you can come out here if you want. You can go to school here. It's your life. But don't come out for me. It's too much pressure. It's too much pressure." And I sat there in my dorm room at Hofstra reading that letter, and I knew two things. I loved her. I knew that. In fact, I didn't know it then, but I would eventually marry her. But I knew I loved her. How I knew that at 18, I'm not sure. If an 18-year-old told me that they had found the one, I'd be like, nah, I don't know. But I had. And the other thing I knew was she was right. She was right. It wasn't time. It wasn't time. And this really floored me. I didn't know what to make of it because it sort of defied a reality I guess I hadn't even articulated to myself that if you love something, you go do it, you go be with the person, but it wasn't the right time. And I also knew a third thing. I had a quiz coming up for my Western civilization. So I picked myself up and I trudged through the cold, bleak, windy Long Island winter to the classroom. And I sat down in Western Civ where there was this quiz about the liberal intellectuals' role on the French Revolution, answer that question, describe their role. And I looked at the question and I thought, this means nothing. This question means nothing. And I looked around and I thought, this class doesn't actually mean anything. And what I meant is, I'd always been a good student. I'd always done my best just because that's what you do, because that's how you make money. That's, I guess, how you're going to get a job and survive in the world. But it hit me then, comparing what it felt like to try to answer, had to go inside myself for the answer, to think about in a way that I cared about. And I compared that feeling to what it was like to love Jen and to know that I wouldn't be with her anymore. And I couldn't find the meaning in that test and really in academics at that point. And I would try for another year to find the meaning in academics, and I couldn't. I just couldn't find it. And without that meaning, I couldn't proceed. And that was why I eventually dropped out. And, it was a profound moment in my life, although I didn't really fully understand, because I saw that nothing at that moment, nothing has inherent meaning. You have to find it. And either it's there or it's not for you. And either you can find it or you can't. But nothing in the thing outside of you has meaning inherent. Now, this is very important for writers to understand. You choose the stories because they have meaning to you, and you find the meaning in them. There really is no story too small that there couldn't be meaning in it. But if you don't find that meaning, you're going to have trouble finding the story, finding the arc of the story. But it's not out there. It's not out there. There is no meaning out there anywhere, not even in love relationships necessarily. It's often easy to find them there, and many of us do, but it's not there automatically. You always have to find it in yourself, and then and then bring that meaning you find in yourself out to the world. It's important, and it's really a good lesson for a writer, because as writers, what do? We sit at our desk and we have to forget about the world outside of ourselves in many ways. I mean, we're describing it, we're remembering it, we're recreating it, but we're staring at a blank page, and we have to go inside for everything. We have to go inside for everything. And that doesn't stop when you leave the desk. You will always find the meaning within yourself, then bring it forward into the world. Find it in yourself, then bring it forward into the world. That's our job as writers, and I would say that's our job as people. Yeah. Thanks for tuning in. As always, if you don't want to miss anything, If you don't want to miss a dose of inspiration, click subscribe. And if you like it, say so. Say so. I love to hear from you. So, till next week, this is Bill Kenower. Stay fearless.